why your area of expertise is so important for the digital transformation in banking.
Yeah, it's really important because the physical experience, physical branches are still a big part of service providing channel for the banks, and people are still used to come to the branches and get their service. And it's from that point, it's important to transform these people to digital era, and at the same time, vice versa, help digital customers to get excellent service in the branches by having an opportunity to have one-click experience in the branches after having excellent service in mobile banking or online banking experiences.
Thank you, Gevorg. Yeah, so just now we'll switch, Vladimir, yeah, so that's the same question for you, yeah?
Great, thank you for the question. So my area of expertise is basically in open banking and payments. On top of the open banking, so open banking is a new area that comes to basically open access to the APIs that banks would allow you to access your information for developers, fintechs, and so on. And secondly, payments in open banking is something that comes to replace the cards, the use of the cards, this physical method of payment. So I believe this will transform drastically the existing landscape of banking and all types of financial institutions, because that's the road for open finance, where we can have the fully integrated mesh of network of day-to-day business, day-to-day life that we spend basically paying for trips in taxis, paying in cafes and so on, without the need of any physical touch or devices and so on, or cash.
Okay, thanks a lot. And I think, here we have still we'll have to discuss about, yes, about the state in Republic of Moldova of the open banking. Yeah, that's on our, at least our common understanding, we are at the beginning of the road yet. Yeah, but let's discuss, in details later on. Alexander, the same question for you. Why your area of expertise is so important for digital transformation?
Bună ziua, eu o să răspund în română, mă simt mai confortabil în limba română. Cu noi, practic, începe procesul de digitalizare în instituțiile financiare și în bănci. Noi ne ocupăm de identificarea clientului. Este prima și cea mai importantă activitate care trebuie să aibă loc. Da? Nimeni nu poate să intre într-o relație fără să cunoască clientul și fără să știe exact cu cine are de-a face. Și aici noi venim cu soluția noastră, care permite identificarea foarte simplă și la distanță, da? Și complet automată a potențialilor clienți și practic astfel deschidem drumul digitalizării. Nici o soluție nu poate fi digitală, da? Sau nu poate spune că este digitală dacă primul pas are loc în offline, prin sucursale și așa mai departe.
Merci mult. Just I'll make a short translation. Yeah? In couple of words, it means that we are at the very beginning of the digitalization. Yeah? So there is no digital solution if the first step is not digital. Yeah? So I will address the same question to Vlad Corduneanu if he's online. Yeah, because we don't see him here in the.
Right. No. I should be online.
Yeah. That's fine. That's fine.
Right. Okay. So my sort of area of expertise is data science / ML. So digital transformation. So I work for Revolut, which is a British fintech. Digital transformation, that's not a term that we typically use, given the fact that Revolut is a sort of digital first startup. But I would say that the way that you would help you achieve digital transformation is it's that it basically has the tools necessary to enable things like, for example, like enabling customers signing up for a bank account from basically their phone within minutes. So as you know, companies like Revolut, Monzo, N26, and so on, they offer that, but kind of the trade-off to that is that, if you're offering that kind of speed, that's basically an invitation for money launderers and fraudsters to come in, because they don't have to go into a branch, they don't have to validate their identity in that way, so you have to prove that digitally. And also, particularly for money laundering, speed, that's essential for them to kind of, make sure that money loses its trace. So I work in FinCrime, by the way. Right, so essentially what it does, so ML models, be that, computer vision or any other kind of ML model that helps you detect fraud or money laundering, it enables you to get that speed without paying all of the costs that would result from the fraudulent activity or the money laundering activity that might come as a result.
Thank you, Vlad. Thanks a lot. And let's go for next question. Yeah, so next question will be addressed to Alexandru Rizea. So what are the steps to build a first-class digital onboarding and eKYC experience for all customer categories? I just once again, said for all customer categories. Do you make, differences, for the various customers in order to make them on board digitally?
În momentul de față suntem axați mai mult pe persoanele fizice și pe identificarea persoanelor fizice, dar soluția se poate extrapola și la persoane juridice, mai ales că mare parte din identificarea unei persoane juridice este de fapt identificarea proprietarului sau proprietarilor acelei companii și se reduce iarăși la o identificare a unei persoane fizice.
Merci mult. So next question will be addressed to Gevorg Safaryan. Yeah, so how important is the customer physical interaction in the 2022? Yeah. So do you think that the branch in the nearest future, hopefully in 2022, the branch won't disappear? But how do you think are going the banks to keep the branches, and for how long?
Thanks. I think that physical branches are really important, as study shows that people for onboarding, let's start from onboarding. If the bank wants to have new clients, they have to provide an environment, place where people can come and get their service. And study shows that 75% of people still prefer to come to the branch because they trust the bank if he has a branch. And it's very important to provide this feeling and to provide right environment to do that. The second reason, it's upsell and increasing of sales of the bank. Studies also shows that in-person interactions are making twice higher the probability to succeed, and that is why it's also, again, it's important to have these locations and have specialists who can consult and provide complex products to clients. Another reason is loyalty of customers. When you have in-person interaction with the customers, they are becoming more loyal, and it's all this is organized in the branch, and the branches still will be, and I think they will transform a little bit, because still in a lot of banks where we are present, we can see that they are helping people also to be a digital, because there are a part of people who are not using digital channels, and there are a lot of people who started to use. But both segments, they need to get service in the branches, and the people who are not using digital channels yet, they must be transformed to digital. And the branch and the consultants can be a nice channel, and the environment also, like semi-digital tools like ATMs, like VTMs, info kiosks. A lot of the platforms can be helpful to help these people to become more digital. And this environment is helping to generate mobile users, more digital users, and it helps to provide excellent service to mobile users who are coming from digital environment to physical branches to get more complex products. And coming to your question, if the branches will branches disappear or not, I think they will not disappear, and they will transform a little bit. And probably in near future, we will see some transformation of branches to be more comfortable for clients, because I will talk later about like personal touch to customers. It's very important now, and it will transform more on personal banking approach.
Okay, thanks a lot. In other words, you are considering that the branches are going to be the very important tool and channel in order to perform the digital transformation.
I think, but I don't want to highlight very important, but it is a part of all process. It's important to have physical branch, but combine it with digital tools, digital channels, and this combination is very important.
Okay, thanks a lot. And going for the next question, I mean, addressed to the Vlad Corduneanu, what are some of the ways AI can identify transaction anomalies? Yeah, can better mitigate fraud and money laundering risk. Yeah, in other words, yeah. So, how important is AI into the anti-fraud? Yeah, and keeping, I mean, the risk, I mean, under control.
Right. So essentially, in terms of like how AI/ML identifies kind of transaction anomalies to kind of identify fraudsters, that's essentially what it does. That's kind of, you know, its main purpose in FinCrime at least. And right, so here you mentioned transaction anomalies. So here you can catch fraudsters at any sort of stage. You can catch them before actually they do any transactions. So at the onboarding stage for both retail clients and for your business clients, that's kind of the first screening that you do. So based on the data that they give you, based on what country they're in, what city, what you know about their device, you know, have they logged in the past, are they associated to any other kind of users? Based on all of that, you can already determine with kind of with a level of precision if they are a potentially risky customer. And it's much easier to you know, you basically nip it in the bud at that stage. So if you don't allow them to, if you don't onboard them, you know, you don't kind of have the problems that result from it afterwards. Once they start making transactions, then you have the added benefit of, you know, you know, fraudulent transactions would look very different from legitimate transactions. So you have that. Also, here you mentioned money laundering risk and fraud, which are quite different. Basically, money laundering is when, you know, like legitimate users can be money launderers. They, under certain circumstances, they can be perceived, they can be persuaded to basically, you know, send some money to another person. You know, they don't know, they haven't stolen that money, they're just sending it. Whereas, for fraud, the key difference here is that you have a victim. You know, when you have fraud happening, there was a person who was defrauded. So there is a victim, either on the fintech side or on the partner bank side. And you can employ both kind of deterministic rules and ML models. And ML models have obviously the advantage of the fact that you can compress loads and loads of data, hundreds or maybe even thousands of things that you know about the customer, and the ML model can learn what particular things are, you know, potentially risky, potentially, you know, indicative of fraudulent behavior. And if you like retrain your model regularly, you can also pick up on, because you have waves of fraud attacks over time, so you can have some weeks where you have like a particular, like network of fraudsters or money launderers attacking. And if you have deterministic rules, you can't catch that, because like rules, you have to employ analysts to decide, and product managers, etc., to decide on what rules you need to have, whereas an ML model, picks it up automatically. So that's the main advantage.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks. And just one more precision, one more question. Yeah. So regarding to that, on my understanding, yeah. So more and more, I mean, going on, yeah, the anti-fraud solutions, yeah, using the machine learning, deep machine learning, I mean, and AI, other AI tools and techniques, yeah, they definitely, yeah, so will be the must in order to get, I mean, the working in online or near online modes. Am I right?
So I can't imagine. Yeah, I can't imagine. Detecting fraud without ML models. I mean, you can. I guess also because in a fintech you have more fraud happening. There's higher risks. If you verify all the customers in the branch, there's a lower risk. But when you give them the possibility of executing things within seconds, you have to be really sharp on how you catch fraudsters, because that's a real risk.
Thanks a lot. And
then,
sorry.
Yeah. Paul, then I was just going to say, there is compliance risks. So money laundering in particular, it's regulated, so you can get in trouble with the regulators. And fraudsters, you either, that's reputation damage, even if you don't have to pay the money. So, but sometimes in particular kinds of fraud, the company that was used to defraud the money is liable. So that's actually direct financial impact on the company.
Okay, thanks a lot. And going for the next question will be addressed to Vladimir Pintea regarding the open banking. The open banking usually are seen by the legacy, like incumbent banks as a risk or as an advantage. Yeah, so disadvantage for them. And it's all like a huge advantage for the newcomers and fintechs. It is the case, or this is the first question. And the second one, can the incumbent banks, yeah, so profit or get like advantages from the open banking?
Yeah, great question actually. So I would say that it strongly depends. So if we're talking about legacy banking, if we're talking about incumbent banks and so on, so basically the biggest one of them who have already doing the digital transformations for years already, they have to profit a lot of it, because first of all, they become those first players, early adopters who are building real products on top of that without the need of same level of high investment. If we're talking about medium-sized tiers or smaller-sized tiers, legacy banking, so it has to do that step. It has to do that first step to transformation that the colleagues were talking about in order to basically be able to adopt open banking, because it's not that easy. So you need to be compliant, you need to go through different specifications, you need to build those, to basically build those solutions to allow fintechs and other financial institutions to tap into your data and tap into your infrastructure. So it comes with a cost. If we're talking about good or bad things, so I would say that we have two big real examples. So we have UK, where the CMA9, the main authority, the financial authority, basically forced the biggest banks to provide those APIs, and they've been building those without the understanding how to monetize on top of that, how to use those APIs. And we have Europe, where basically the EBA said, hey, you need to be compliant, build it however you want, but the best solution will win. And we saw that the Berlin Group spec, the next gen PSD2 spec, was the most popular among Europe and European countries. And right now, basically, even the other regions where open banking pops up, like Middle East, like Brazil, and so on, are adopting that specification as well. So that's also a very important thing. Who can basically how region, or let's talk, for example, about Moldova. Yeah, how it can adopt the open banking. there are basically two solutions. Either build a consortium, so find an IT company basically who can review the spec, align it with the legislation, and basically build a solution that any of the banks can use, and it will basically split the expenses. Or the second approach is to find already a vendor that will provide you a solution as close as possible to the specification that the national law will adopt, and basically take those solutions from them. It won't be fast, that's a must, because from what I've been discussing and myself right now as a consultant, but the company that I was working for, we've been having a lot of workshops with the National Bank of Moldova, with other smaller banks here in Moldova, which were interested in how are the things evolving in the world and what are the trends to be ready before the law would be adopted. But so far, as they know, the change will happen. It will happen in some time. There is already discussions to align the existing law with the European one, and hopefully our banks will adopt one of the specifications that are already present in UK or in Europe. And there are a lot of vendors and a lot of companies that can help our banks to go through this transformation and basically expose those APIs to be fully compliant.
Thanks a lot. On my understanding, as soon as we don't have, in this, like all the, like top managers of the banks, scanning like, we need open banking, we need open banking. I think in this point, might be the National Bank of Moldova, has to perform some actions on that. So going to the next question, very connected to that, showing, what is the role of regulation, and regulators, in the digital transformation of the banks, this is a question for everyone. So, Alexandru, let's go for this.
Eu cred că aceste entități de reglementare sunt foarte importante în acest proces și ar trebui să înțeleagă că schimbările trebuie făcute. În momentul de față au senzația că toate fintech-urile sunt foarte riscante, că aduc o componentă de risc pe care nu și-o doresc. Nu știu, i-aș pune să se uite totuși la țările din vest, care sunt foarte mari și care au o industrie financiară uriașă și care au adoptat toate aceste noi soluții și sunt de acord cu ele, și să ia exemplu de acolo, să vadă cum pot să aducă și în țările lor aceste reguli și să înlesnească practic băncilor să ajungă să ofere servicii așa cum le oferă celelalte bănci, pentru că globalizarea e din ce în ce mai mare și probabil că în foarte scurt timp clienții vor putea să acceseze credite sau să-și deschidă conturi bancare oriunde în lume, cum e cazul acum cu Revolut. Da? Și aduce practic un deserviciu băncilor locale, un deserviciu foarte mare, făcându-le să fie un pas în spatele competiției, care este din ce în ce mai mare.
Thanks a lot. And the same question, Gevorg, do you think that the role of regulators, in the digital transformation is essential? What is and another point, what is you think it's in your area of expertise, the regulatory change in the currently or in the near future?
I'm not an expert in this field, but as we are doing business in several countries, we see like some processes. And from my point of view, for regulators, it's important to be more flexible because the innovations are faster than the regulations. And they must be more innovative and understand how to combine all these innovations and processes with all environmental issues. And in some cases, there are innovative, in some cases, not enough. And the regulators must be flexible here, because in some there can be innovations where integration of implementation of them because of regulators will be slow. And I think the only thing which I would like to mention that they have to be innovative and faster to create the right environment for technology growth.
Okay, thanks a lot. And Vlad, can you add, Vlad Corduneanu, can you add some words on this point?
So I don't have that much to add. So I would definitely second the fact that, yeah, innovation is definitely much faster than the regulators. And that's definitely the case when it comes to data science / machine learning. And sometimes what we see is that the kind of the requirements that comes from the regulator is based on things that are already outdated when they come. So definitely kind of would be good, particularly in case of anti-money laundering, because that's an area. So I work in fraud, but anti-money laundering, that's very heavily regulated. So definitely would be nice to see more kind of, the regulators be more in step with industry.
Okay, thanks. And one just more short question to you. Yeah, do you think, I mean, in your area of expertise, more anti-money, perhaps let's take anti-money laundering. Yeah, let's suppose that that's a bank or a couple of banks are using the AI or ML solution. Yeah, in order for this area. Do you think the level of expertise of the central banks? Yeah, just across Europe, UK, Moldova, region, yeah. Do you think that's the level of expertise of the central banks is enough or is on the high level? They need to grow up on this level, yeah? So what do you think?
So I think it's a bit behind, but it's also, I think it's a matter of letting the technology companies do their job and being very clear on what you regulate, because you don't want to regulate the methods that are used. You just want to see that the results are in place and how you check them, and how fintechs go through audits. Yeah, but I would definitely say that it's the regulator lags behind a bit.
Okay, so just, I mean, the request for everyone, just help, I mean, our authorities in order to grow up. Yeah, so that's all bit for mutual benefits, yeah, to understand each other. And Vladimir, Pintea, do you have to add something so additionally on that?
I would provide an example. So when the Romania, our neighbor country, has adopted into the national law the regulation around the Payment Service Directive number 2, they basically describe those experiences for access to account information details and overall balance checks, funds check, and so on. And secondly, for the payment initiation flows. And the interesting part that basically because of their local legislation they've left within their regulation was the fact that each physical person needs to have a signed paper contract with the company that is providing them a service. And that was basically stupid, because most of the solutions that are built on top of the open banking are digital. Most of them are like Revolut, fintechs, smart fintech, and a lot of merchants would like to collect money, but how can they enable that a person, even in the COVID period right now, would go to a specific physical location to sign a paper contract, or even print it out and send it through the post? This is just not acceptable at that terms. And they've realized it only after a year. So they've understood that, hey, look, we thought that a lot of technological companies that are located in Romania will start applying for those licenses to build those solutions, but nowhere was they actually coming. And they've started asking questions for feedback, what happened, and so on. And each company that was applying for a license was saying, hey, we cannot enable, we cannot cross this point here, because we cannot send, I don't know, company in UK cannot send you a digital, a physical contract for a person in Romania to receive those services. And here is what regulators need to understand very clearly. They need to create boundaries, basically, to describe the boundaries in which any business, any innovation can happen. They can say the minimal specification for security, for privacy, and so on, like anti-money laundering laws and so on. But they shouldn't actually imply restrictions on top of the processes, like digital processes, business processes, and so on, that the companies want to build, because that basically will cut off most of the companies that would like to participate, or maybe will enable like legacy businesses that have been working in the region for ages to basically continue their business. So basically no change will happen at all.
Okay, thanks a lot. And going to the next question, I mean, addressed to Alexandru, Rizea. So what do you think? I mean, what are the main factors the fintech companies and banks should take into consideration when choosing a digital identification and eKYC solution?
Aș spune că trebuie să fie destul de atenți cu ce soluții adoptă. În momentul de față există dezbateri între care soluție ar fi mai sigură decât cealaltă. Eu, aș spune ca toată lumea să încerce să meargă spre soluțiile complet automate, cele care exclud complet componenta umană. Din istorie, ce s-a întâmplat în bănci în ultimii ani, toate fraudele majore sunt făcute prin intermediul unor operatori umani. Și atunci, având servicii de identificare care presupun un operator uman, aducem o componență de nesiguranță, da? Și serviciul respectiv nu este complet de încredere. Cel puțin acesta este părerea mea. Da? Și că ar fi mai util să se meargă pe măsurătorile biometrice, nu pe posibilitatea omului de a identifica sau nu dacă cineva este sau nu într-o poză. Calculatorul face mult mai bine acest lucru și fără să fie subiectiv, fără să poată să fie influențat de cineva. Și atunci a spune că este principala direcție în care trebuie să meargă companiile atunci când își aleg soluția de identificare. Și mai mult, ar trebui ca soluțiile sau soluția la care se uite să adreseze inclusiv partea de cunoaștere, de verificare. Un antevorbitor spunea mai devreme că este foarte importantă toată cunoașterea, da, de identificare și de verificare. Dacă persoana respectivă este dezirabilă sau nu în relația cu banca. Și iarăși, și automatizând și acest proces, ajungem la un rezultat mult mai viabil decât la o căutare manuală prin diverse baze de date ulterior.
Thank you. Just one more short question here for you on this point here. Do you think that the solutions for the digital identification and eKYC, because you know there are some regulations here, some of them are very vague, some of them are very detailed, perhaps not eKYC but KYC. You know, the most of the central banks are going, I mean, to have the very detailed, very rigid KYC, paper-based, physical-based, but most of them, they don't have yet the eKYC regulations. Do you think there is a need, a regulation and specifically technical standards on this?
Spunea și mai devreme colegul de la Revolut, ar trebui reglementat modul de lucru, da? Și ce ne dorim să obținem și nu metodele în sine. Pentru că este foarte greu pentru Banca Națională, spre exemplu, să înțeleagă toate aspectele tehnologice care sunt legate de metodele folosite în aceste procese. Deci, practic, gândiți-vă că ar trebui să aibă niște departamente întregi de analiști care sunt la curent cu ultimele tehnologii, ca să poată să înțeleagă dacă soluția respectivă sau metoda folosită e cea mai bună sau nu. Trebuie să stabilească cadrul, da? Ce ar trebui să se verifice și nu cum. Și, așa cum am mai spus, să renunțe la frică. Că acesta este principalul factor care îi determine să nu adopte genul ăsta de reglementări, le este frică de fraudă. Când frauda este mult mai mare acolo unde nu este prezentă partea automatizată.
Thanks a lot. In fact, your opinion is more, I mean, just the central bank should go on the establishment of the frameworks and rules of the game. Next, I mean, not going, I mean, very deeply in establishing this solution, this and certify them.
Yes,
that is a lot
very
of
hard
work.
for them to describe exactly what solution should be used. They have to provide global environment for everybody.
Okay, thanks a lot. And going to the next question, so Gevorg is a question for you. Give us some insights and secrets, so how the banks could improve the physical experience into the branches, into the Phygital, so I mean transformation to digital, so that's your area.
Thanks. I will like to start from the physical experience in the branches because it's a first step. It's very important now because digital is growing itself, and it's important to have an environment in the physical branches similar, fast as fast as digital one, and it's important to have processes faster now than it was before. First of all, there are two elements which are impacting the time of service of employee. First, not employee, of customers. First of all, it's the speed of service of employees. Based on our experience, we saw how professional banks, they improve their processes by changing the concept of service, and they are providing more faster services. For example, Ameria Bank in Armenia, they have improved their service by 20% based on our data. And we have by the way, we mustn't go far to see such type of transformation. Also in maib, we saw how they have used our data to improve speed of service. The second part, it's a wait time of customers. The customers are coming to the branch and they wait. Now it is possible to distribute customer flow equally during the day, and they are coming and they are not waiting. And this part is really the wait time. It's one of the most negative factors which impact whole customer experience in the branch. And these two things are easy to solve. And after that, the bank must provide the channels for those who are not digital clients. They can transform to digital through our tools. And this implementation of these tools are super simple and easy. There is no need for huge investments. And banks, they can easily implement such type of solutions as we provide and improve the processes of their employees to track and control the efficiency of the employees, and with that make faster the process of service. Plus, with our technologies, and not only our technologies, but there are several simple ones just to manage queues, and in our case, the way to eliminate queues. It's a reality, and after that, provide them semi-digital channels to use and become to make their clients more digital. Of course, there is also important fact implementation of possible digital tools in the banks. There are a lot of tools which are not used yet in many banks, but this is another story. That's why it's important to provide excellent service in the branch. And I think I will have chance to talk also about personalization of service. It's important to know the customer, who is the customer, and this part is also can be organized by our technologies, by identifying customer before he will come to the branch. And the process will be faster if the employees know who is coming and for what product he is coming. Thanks.
Okay, thanks a lot. And going for the next question is for Vlad Corduneanu. So apart from the anti-fraud and money laundering or credit scoring areas, where we need, so we know that the AI is used widely. What are the other areas, where the AI, perhaps, can be used into the banking? Like a customer experience, customer preferences, customer profiles. What do you think, Vlad?
Right. So in terms of FinCrime is definitely the most important, so the primary use case, I suppose, for machine learning in fintech, but not the only one. Yeah. So you have you have eKYC as well, as mentioned before. So computer vision, which is machine learning, obviously as well, for matching, pictures, videos, that kind of stuff. You have more typical kind of marketing applications, like identifying customers that would subsequently churn, for example, or retaining customers, or upselling them. So machine learning models can help you to sort of, based on all the data that you know about the customers, to identify who's at risk and target them with something else. Another one would be, so basically kind of various ways in which you could enrich customer experience on the app. So that can be recommendations for, if you have a suite of features and kind of propositions for the customer, you can recommend them to the app or send a push notification, etc. Things like time series forecasting, that can use ML models as well. So, helping the customer budget their money and showing them like, okay, look, if you're spending this much, you're likely to spend this much by the end of the month, by the end of the year, etc. In terms of helping the customer budget, again, customer experience, sort of trying to make the data the transaction data that you get from Mastercard and Visa, which can be quite messy, making it more digestible for the customer. So grouping the merchants into budget categories, deduplicating them, that kind of stuff can also be accomplished using machine learning models. And besides, you also have algorithmic trading, which is not on the customer side, or I guess it could be, or you have credit scoring, etc. That's also part of the kind of the data science space.
So, it's in other words, the data science and the AI can be used widely into the banking as well. So in many directions. Yeah, from my understanding. Okay, thanks a lot. Cases, yeah, thanks a lot. And going, for the next question, for Vladimir, Pintea, what do you think, first of all, for the PSD2, directive, it's already discussed, on my understanding, at least for 2 years in Moldova, yeah? Going, to be initiated, next stopped, next once again review it. So first question is, so how long it will take, to, in order to get it, officialized, as a law? Yeah, and the second one, so question, how the bank would adapt and how the bank could afford it, so in the best way for Moldova.
Yeah, so to answer the first part of the question, basically I should not even try to guess about how soon it will be adopted here in Moldova. What I know that the discussions are there, so the government is really looking into it. The National Bank of Moldova is already assessing what would be the efforts from the industry to basically be compliant with that, because they also need to understand they can apply a law, but if the banks, the companies, the financial institutions, EMIs won't be able to comply with that law, then this law basically is not functioning properly. What needs for financial institutions to happen to basically be compliant and work with that and so on? I would say that first they need to seriously consider growing up into an IT company first, because you cannot be open, you cannot be digital without the fact that you are technologically apt to do something. So this is the first thing, and the second thing is, I believe the most important is to have the support of the industries, the support of the business, because we know that usually retail customers are the sandbox for testing new features, but later on the one who pay actually for those features are the businesses, the merchants who are using this financial institution and so on. So I would say that it should go from both sides. From one side, we need to be sure that the regulator is up with us on the board and they understand the efforts that would need to be put into the adoption of PSD2 regulations here in Moldova. And the second one is to gain that control, that support from the market, basically. So from merchants, big businesses who are doing those most of the money transfers, who are like building those solutions and so on, just to basically be business-driven adoption, not just like regulation adoption, and then we would see like 2 years nothing will actually happen. So I would say that if the biggest players like maib and the others bank will start basically looking onto how to build that ecosystem for their businesses that are partnering with them, and on the other and the National Bank of Moldova will consider building a flexible regulation such that strong customer authentication, biometrics, eKYC, and so on, all of those will become possible within that regulation. I believe less than a year or maybe next year we already will be sitting on in this room and discussing how well is open banking working in Moldova.
So you're looking quite optimistic, yeah, so on this point, yeah. Just, I mean, there is a small thing, all of us, I mean, need to make an effort, yeah, in order to make it happen.
It's not about optimism that far, because I saw great examples like Croatia, who basically adopted the law after like it was published by the EBA, and within a year, the biggest technological company in the region, like let's call it EMI fintech company in the region, has already built those solutions for all of the top banks. They've already deployed those solutions, and basically it was ready to take in the fintechs and all the other initiatives across the Europe. We saw such examples. It means that that's possible. We have the other example of Romania, where the law was adapted. It's been already like 2 years, but we don't see that booming industry that should have adopted most of the EMIs and so on, and basically make it the mecca of fintech for Europe.
Okay, thanks a lot. And let's go for the, I mean, before going, I mean, for the some questions, hopefully we have some time in order to get questions from the from the colleagues, I mean, in the hall. Let's go for the last question regarding, I mean, that how we are seeing the trends in your area of expertise, perhaps here in couple of years, 3-5 years, how you are going, I mean, to see your area will be developed. Yeah, let's go for, I mean, Alexandru.
Eu aș spune că devine din ce în ce mai dificil să ne gândim pe perioade așa mari de timp. Multe dintre fintech-uri cred că nu existau acum 5 ani și sunt destul de multe exemple care au izbucnit așa și au avut super succes peste noapte. Eu cred că lucrurile vor merge foarte mult înainte și vom fi forțați de generațiile noi. Generația nouă reprezintă viitorul client și toată lumea va trebui să se ducă în direcția în care clientul o cere, pentru că altfel nu se mai justifică serviciile. Da? Și cred că adopția soluțiilor digitale va fi din ce în ce mai mare, ba la un moment dat cred că va deveni obligatorie pentru toată lumea ca să mai poată exista. Aceasta e opinia mea.
Okay, thanks a lot, Vlad, Corduneanu. What do you think? I mean, in your area of expertise, how far will go AI, ML, DML, so into the financial area?
Right. So in terms of that, so the trend that I'm seeing right now is that there is a move. So the use of ML models is become increasingly normal, increasingly sort of workaday, and it's more about not about developing and training the ML models, which is kind of relatively straightforward, let's say. But what's not straightforward is actually to productionize them, particularly when you have ML models that are supposed to prevent a transaction from happening, block a transaction before the authorization stage. There are stringent requirements in terms of latency. You know, you only have 200 milliseconds for the whole thing, for the whole data to be processed and the ML model to run, etc. So what in the ML in the data science space, what we will probably see is a proliferation of or a preference towards data engineers, machine learning engineers rather than data scientists, and more around the infrastructure and productionizing the ML models rather than coming up with a trained ML model and not doing very much with it. I'm going to quote a survey from last year, or was it actually 2020? Around half of the companies engaging in machine learning, they have kind of engaged in machine learning, they have trained their models, but they haven't deployed a single one. So probably the trend is towards having more machine learning in production, running on each transaction, each client, and in probably larger quantity.
Okay, thanks a lot, Vlad. And now the same question to Gevorg. How do you think, how would be the dream branch, I mean, so in the near future, yes, or the Phygital of the near future? How it looks, I mean, how it will be, I mean, adopted, yes, or by the financial institutions, yeah? What do you think?
I think that we will see the trend of more customer-centric service, and the banks and financial institutions, they will try, they will do that because only the companies will win who will do that. They will provide more customer-centric service. They will improve their customer experience, as people want to get better service now than it was 10 years ago. And for that, they have to build the channels for getting feedback from them, the channels to communicate with them better and improve processes in the branches. I see that in near future, the branches will look like, they will look different, and they can be smaller because people, there will not be a huge flows there. The flows can be distributed, and the branches can be more cozy, small ones, and the banks, the financial institutions will be able to provide more targeted, more personalized service to this clients, to their clients, and this is the main direction, the personalization and more targeted service, which I see in near future, and better environment, faster service, less wait time, and more targeted and problem-solving products, which will be provided to exact customers.
Okay, thank you. And what do you think? What are the main obstacles also, I mean, into this activity?
From my experience, I can say that it is old school management, which is really, they use old models. They are not flexible enough to implement new technologies. And now you can see like same situation also in Moldova. The companies which are customer centric, they are implementing best solutions in this field. Especially you can see the maib, BCR, Eurocredit Bank, which already started to benefit from the technology which we provide. And here is only like the people must be faster, they must be more flexible, because technologies are growing faster than the processes. Then they have to implement, they have to pilot new technologies to understand how they will fit in their processes, and based on them change main service processes inside these organizations. And the obstacles are mostly connected with people who are not innovative enough.
Okay, thanks a lot, Gevorg. And the same question, I mean, for Vladimir Pintea. So, what do you think? In a couple of years, will we have the open banking, truly open banking in Moldova, Romania region? Yeah, yeah. So that's, and what does it mean? Yeah. At the end of the day, I'm going, I mean, to the street. I'm connecting, I mean, my phone in a couple of minutes with maib. Next door, I'll connect to Victoria Bank. Yes, and get some like providing them, I mean, fintech services and get some open information about the accounts or the initiative, the payments. How do you think?
So you've mentioned 5 years. So in 5 years, I hope we will be living already the life of open finance. So where like eKYC and payments would become seamless, basically. So what would that mean? So in an ideal world is like, let's imagine I would like to visit, I don't know, my doctor, yeah, and I'm visiting like this private clinic for the first time. Once I step in, basically they already should have a possibility to identify myself and provide me that personalized approach about which Gevorg was speaking. So basically greet me by my name already. Then I need just to specify what is my interest within this clinic. They would provide me that service, and paying for that service basically should be seamless. So me being present there, giving my consent should already allow them to basically charge me without me taking my phone out or taking my card and approaching it somewhere. So if all of these building blocks would be already interconnected and enabled basically by both the regulation and the market, basically the experience should be very seamless and transparent based on my physical biometrics behavior. I should be able to step in, they should be able to identify myself, I should receive the service that I'm interested, not only a financial service per se, and then I should be able to pay for that service without taking any specific action and be sure that it is in compliance with my privacy rights, it's in compliance with the fact that the access is a one-time access to my financial data through a virtual account and so on and so forth. So it should be very seamless and interconnected.
Yeah, thank you. As an example, you are meaning, I mean, that your fridge should be able to detect what kind of the food, I mean, is missing to order it, and the bank, I mean, so from your bank account, I mean, the money should be, I mean, I mean, taken, I mean, by the vendor.
And
yes,
basically, yeah, and basically you need to receive just a notification that everything worked as expected, and that's all.
Okay, thanks a lot. In fact, we I mean. Close, I mean, our session. If you, I mean, we'll get some questions from the auditorium. Yeah, please welcome. Do you have some questions? I mean, for our guests.
Maybe our guests have some questions to the auditorium.
Yeah, you have some I mean, some words or some question. I mean, you have to mention.
I would say to the youngest part of the auditorium, and even basically to all of them. It is very important for you to try new things out. We live in a not such a big country, and we have a very good connection to the outside world. We can be the sandbox for the new ideas, new innovations, and everything that would happen. We don't have that much players on the market. That's why we need to have the courage to test those new things, to adopt new technologies, and basically show that it can work, in order to then scale it up to Europe and globally.
Do you have some for our guests, some words to say?
Și a spune că ar trebui să cereți. E foarte important să pretindeți să primiți serviciile la un nivel adecvat. Da? Să nu vă mulțumiți cu puțin și cu ideea că, ok, atâta s-a putut. Nu. Cereți și atunci veți obliga pe toată lumea să adopte tehnologiile noi. Da? Sunt foarte multe lucruri care ne-ar putea ușura existența și e imperios necesar să ne cerem dreptul.
In other words, the best customer is a demanding customer. Yeah?
Yes, of course.
Gevorg and Vlad, do you have something to say?
Thanks again. I hope this talk have been useful, and I would like to be there and to meet all participants and talk about future plans. but our partners are present and we will be happy to talk and connect online and help to implement the best technology at this moment in the field which we have. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, and Vlad?
Right. Okay, I don't see the audience, but yeah, coming to ML, data science, don't be afraid of that. It's an interesting field. Connect with me online, if you're already in ML, let me know. Maybe I can hook you up with somebody.
Okay, thanks a lot for everyone. Yeah, so it was a very interesting discussion. Hopefully, you will have, anyone will have some questions here. So just, you'll ask the organizers, in order, to spread out, the contacts here. So just be in touch. Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah. Do you have some question?
Actually, one suggestion. Did you or do you intend to send your proposal of digitalization, the onboarding of the clients to our national bank? Maybe when you'll send the details, how this can be possible, maybe they will start to change the regulation.
A spune că nu e rolul nostru să trimitem către Banca Națională aceste lucruri. Ar trebui să vină din partea băncilor, da? Pentru că ele sunt principalele beneficiare și ele vor avea cel mai mult de pierdut dacă nu cer să se întâmple acest lucru. Noi putem, evident, să trimitem și să facem o sugestie Băncii Naționale referitor la soluțiile de KYC și de adoptarea și implementarea lor și bineînțeles că o să o și facem. Însă noi suntem o simplă companie, sunt foarte multe ca noi pe piață, nu suntem singurii, însă vine altfel dacă beneficiarii sunt cei care solicită să se facă cadrul legislativ în așa fel încât să poată să adopte această metodă.
Corect, băncile constant fac solicitări, dar dacă nu sunt argumentele necesare cu descrierea că, uite, asta se respectă, dar utilizând, nu știu, instrumentele tehnicile respective, atunci poate ar grăbi procesul, pentru că noi nu avem argumentele necesare să facem asta.
Permiteți, aici cred că ar fi binevenit mai multe sesiuni de demo online, demo live, în conferințe, cu participarea nu numai colegilor de QOOBISS, dar și altor companii similare, și băncile, și să invite insistent, inclusiv și clienții, care sunt băncile, instituții financiare, și Banca Națională, să vadă care soluții sunt, ce se poate de adaptat, da, care ar fi framework-ul cel, adică setul cel de reguli și de asta stabilit ca să meargă înainte. Adică aici ar trebui, cred că, în așa mod de făcut, fiindcă o companie să insiste, atunci se primește că cineva favorizează o companie în cazul ăsta, da?
Da, nu, dar mai mult decât atâta. Lucrul care ar trebui arătat Băncii Naționale este uitați-vă la modelul de afară. Ei învârt, sunt sume incomparabil mai mari, da? Și pe care se merge pe aceste sisteme și sunt acceptate peste tot în Europa. Nu văd ce alt argument mai bun ar exista în fața Băncii Naționale decât acesta. Da? O întreagă lume folosește soluțiile acestea, numai noi nu.
Deja avem adică avantajul că sunt deja soluții aprobate, da? Adică de piață, de fapt,
da? Dar
și putem alege cele mai bune
și de cei care reglementează. Deci în Uniunea Europeană acest mod de identificare la distanță este acceptat. Există țări care l-au specificat exact în legi și au legi care spun clar că se poate face, însă sunt toate celelalte care nu spun că nu se poate face și practic au adoptat tacit acest mod de identificare. Practic oriunde în Europa se poate face acest lucru.
Mersi mult.
Mersi.
Mai aveți întrebări? Cred că noi ne spun că noi deja suntem out of time.
Încă o întrebare, dacă se poate, despre open banking. De ce credeți că băncile de top din Moldova ar fi interesate să implementăm acest directivă de open banking? Pentru fintech-uri, de exemplu, că aceasta ar duce la o deschidere a informației, adică niște companii mai mici ar putea, cu consimțământul clientului, accesa conturile și mișcările de pe conturi a potențialilor clienți.
Păi, da. În primul rând aș spune că vor beneficia de la această deschidere însăși băncile cele de top. Ele sunt primele care încearcă să-și mărească sfera de influență, să-și mărească numărul de utilizatori, deci ele vor oferi acele primele soluții, de fapt, ca utilizatorii altor bănci să descopere produsele lor, să descopere infrastructura lor și să vină să devină utilizatori noi. Din cauza că unde avem o piață stagnantă, unde deja sferele de influență sunt separate, fără o disrupție a acestui model, nu ar fi posibil ca utilizatori noi să încearcă să decurgă între bănci, una să devină cea mai bună în creditări, alta în daily banking, a treia în leasing-uri și așa mai departe. Deci, în primul rând, cei mai mari jucători vor beneficia de la aceasta. Deja, secundar, vin inovatorii, vin acele fintech-uri, acele companii care vor să aducă un model alternativ. Cum vorbeau colegii despre onboarding-ul utilizatorilor la distanță, cum vorbeau despre verificarea business-urilor fără să fie necesar să te duci și semnezi contracte bilaterale și așa mai departe. Deci, în primul rând, open banking-ul vine să schimbe perspectiva în interiorul pieții, ca după asta să o facă și deschisă pentru următoarea etapă, care e open finance, unde integrarea uniformă a orice domeniu, industrie, business, să fie posibil cu instrumente financiare. Și atunci băncile deja nu sunt bănci cum noi ne le închipuim, dar sunt prestatori de servicii. Deci, banking as a service, unde nici poți să nu știi că folosești infrastructura maib-ului per se, când îți construiești un business, când culegi plăți, când plătești facturile și așa mai departe.
Bine, dar dacă să vorbim de activitățile de creditare, de exemplu, avem în Moldova creditare nebancară și bancară. Și jucătorii din piața de creditare nebancară, când încearcă să abordeze băncile în privința la open banking și asta, ei sunt foarte reticenți și nu sunt deschiși și gata să accepte așa.
Și în primul rând asta se întâmplă de aceea că băncile nu au o soluție echivalentă organizațiilor cele de creditare non-bancare. Și asta e diferența cea mai mare. Companiile cele mai mici, ca să supraviețuiască, trebuie să producă soluții noi, pe care băncile încă nu au reușit să le facă sau nu le-au adoptat încă. Dar odată cum se va uniformiza piața, în domeniul ăsta nu va avea loc o inovație nouă, atunci toți vor înțelege că în cadrul acestei piețe ar trebui ceva să schimbăm și schimbarea va veni dinăuntru.
Ok, mersi.
Da, adică merge vorba că în conceptul de open banking, da, adică se deschide adică oportunități pentru fintech-uri, companii mici, companii de creditare nebancare, care aplică oarecare presiune asupra băncilor existente, care pot, dar la rândul său, ele pot folosi în parteneriate soluțiile prestate de companii, de fintech, inclusiv și de organizații de creditare nebancară, crește piața, crește financial inclusion, inclusiunea financiară, cresc cifrele de afaceri și așa în ciclu. Adică asta ar fi, cred că perspectiva normală de dezvoltare.
Și în conceptul ăsta, datele deja devin valoroase. Deci datele se monetizează, datele lucrează, sunt pur și simplu new ways of revenue for the biggest banks, biggest players on the market as well.
Și eu cred că cei mai mari beneficiari vor fi tocmai băncile și nu fintech-urile de pe urma acestei deschideri, pentru că vor convinge noi clienți să folosească serviciile lor tocmai pentru a beneficia de aceste noi funcționalități.
Da. Ca o confirmare, nu am cifrele de anul acesta, an trecut, pare să undeva un an în urmă, aveam niște cifre niște statistici, venitul net al neobanking și fintech-uri în Europa era de 4%, da, spre deosebire de venitul băncilor incumbent, băncilor vechi. Adică fintech-ul nu a luat încă piața băncilor existente. Adică
și nici nu va lua.
Da. Adică aici sunt mulți factori, dar cred că asta e o temă pentru o conferință aparte.
E o frică mare a băncilor să se deschidă.
Sigur, asta e.
Sunt niște instituții care sunt prin definiție închise.
Da.
Și atunci e greu.
Bine, vă mulțumim mult. Noi cred că ne-am reținut, dar sperăm că a fost interesant.
Și noi vă mulțumim mult.
Mulțumim, o zi bună.
O zi bună tuturor.
Vitalie,